Oh.
You are live. I don't want this. Oh, live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. This is an example. Nice.
Hey!
What's up to all our sidekicks and what's up to all our sidekicks and henchmen out there in the Geek Nation? I hit puberty long ago. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo. With me this week is not Len. Len could not join us today because we kept getting an echo, and he had to go spend time with a lady.
Was that milk?
Oh, that's cool.
Echo, stop.
Every time you
with me
say
this week,
echo,
though,
it's...
oh, now I've got a... Is that an echo? Okay. With me this week is Brian Lee.
Hey, that one's me.
And Noel.
Hi.
Noel.
Hi. It's Noel. Mr. Noel or Noel to my friends. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I'm playing with the things. Create a banner. Spoiler alert podcast.
Well, since we don't have another face, do we do the cover of what we're going to talk about in the other slot?
If you really want to.
No,
go for it.
I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, we're already live, so just stop.
I'm already aware. Yeah, you know what? Everyone pause. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
We are here to talk about 2 trade paperbacks because there are no weekly. Actually, there were new books this week, weren't there? There was Daphne Byrne and a couple of reprints.
The Dreaming number 20.
That Flash issue, which I think yeah, I almost forgot about that. Did you guys read the Flash issue?
I did a Thunder Round, Brian.
I saw that you did that Thunder Round. I saw that you did it. I didn't see it.
You just saw that it exists. Yeah, understandable. So we are here to talk about 2 trade paperbacks. One is Bitch Planet Volume 1 by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Valentine Delandro? Valentine?
I would say Valentine, but
Valentine Delandro. And then Hawkeye Volume 1, My Life as a Weapon by Matt Fraction, David Aja, Javier Polito, and Alan Davis. But first, we have one letter.
We have letter?
We have
one letter.
One letter.
It's from Christopher St. Saucy Goodnight. So he says, so I thought I'd send a message saying that Walmart is getting 4 new number 1s on the 5th.
Yeah.
From Allegiance Arts. So I guess there's a new publisher. I don't know if they're new. I never heard of them. Allegiance Arts. And they're going to be releasing single issues to Walmart.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's a new company created by Mitch and Elizabeth Breithweiser. And some hedge fund guy. It's only in Walmart. It's 4 issues, and it's weird. So I guess I want to say like 2 years ago, Mitch was linked with some CG stuff.
Oh,
and his wife got dragged into it, and then they just kind of like, they weren't blackballed so much as just kind of went away and then started producing their own Kickstarter stuff. And then that's why you don't really see his name on Big Two stuff much anymore. And then she really only does coloring on stuff that like people that she knows and has always done. So like, if Steve Epting's drawing something, she's going to color it. If Mike Epting, right? Steve Epting. Who's Mike then? Either way.
That's where I saw her name. She had done Sarah, right?
Yeah, but
Bennett and Steve Epting.
But you don't really see her or them much anymore. I don't know what all happened. Maybe I think they're only tangentially related. Like he tweeted like in 2016, like God bless Trump or some shit, and then people freaked out and yeah. But now I don't know if they're intentionally or unintentionally aligned with all that bullshit, but that kind of precipitated this other comic line.
Oh, okay.
But I did look up at all the issues and stories, and they look boring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're fine. They look fine. A couple of art or writers that I kind of recognize. Do you guys remember like Kevin Guerrero? He's the dude that wrote like Underworld, which I really hate. So
what's Underworld? Not the movie.
Yeah, no, the movie.
Oh, the movie.
I didn't see those movies.
They're movies.
Huh. They're films.
It's Resident Evil.
Yeah,
but they're only going to be in Walmart's. I tried to look up if they're going to also have like secondary distribution, kind of like, you know, how like the Walmart exclusive DC stuff went.
Mm-hmm.
Like it did show up in stores lately, but I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
I mean, bigger base of comic readers. Yay.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was a Comicsgate thing. I mean,
maybe it's not.
We don't know that.
Who knows? We don't know.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my bad. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know that. I found out about it. I followed the rabbit hole, and there was a couple of articles that related the two, but in so much that they broke off on their own because of all this shit that happened back in like 2016 or 2017, where they were dropping out of cons and stuff because they were getting threats, which is not cool no matter what.
Right.
Shit like that.
Right.
Oh, threats from like non-Comicsgate people?
I don't know. Like, it's really hard to keep track. Probably at that point it was non-Comicsgate people, but then when you don't align with Comicsgate, like lockstep, and they also threaten you. I don't know. Like, it's
true.
So I don't know. Maybe they're victims and perpetrators at the same time, which led them to create their own comic line.
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right. I mean, I'm not going to go to Walmart to buy comics. So
no, probably not.
You know, when I see that someone has made a deal with Walmart to put their comics out, it doesn't. I'm not stoked about it. I wasn't like, yeah, Walmart issues, great. Like that. It doesn't sound like something that's going to stick around very long.
Right. It's an artistic move. Although you could, like, if you were an artist and you're like, oh, I have an opportunity to put my shit out in Walmart. Like, I would absolutely do that. But there is something, when you hear that, it sounds very corporate and created in that way and not artistically interesting. But it could be either one of those stories, I guess.
I'm of two minds about it. Like, I love the idea of bringing back, at least to some degree, the random spinner racks and or comics at supermarkets. Like, put stuff out there for larger audience that don't have a shop near them to get to. And I think that's what DC and Marvel were trying to do with their giants.
Right.
And then also now Marvel is doing reprints in like 3-packs randomly at Walmart, stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I remember picking those up when I was a kid at like Toys R Us or something.
And people are collectors are actually like going to Walmart to find them too, because some of them are variant covers. Like specific, but it's kind of funny though. Like if it's you know, like a random issue of the new Venom and X-Men and Avengers, right? Just in a pack. One of them might have a different cover than direct market with a different indicia, so people are going and searching for them. And
you cannot stop the speculators, man.
No, baby, they're there. But I like that idea. But then I also think that it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like gatekeeping and weird to get a large chain to sell your stuff exclusively. I'm like, relax. I like the idea that comics are everywhere, but I don't like the idea that like you have to go there for a comic.
Yeah, exclusivity in general is kind of a shitty outcome of profit driven.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, it would be so much better if.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like Walmart, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there a bunch of hubbub about Walmart not selling things if they weren't family friendly, and they sort of took things off the shelves because of some. Like
guns, like the guns that they sell.
I mean, I'm
you can buy your whole that's family friendly. You just buy all your family members' guns.
That sounds true. I don't know exactly when it happened.
I don't know either.
That's one of those. I don't know if it's true, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. So I was just curious. It seems strange to make that the place you're going to sell your book if you don't want to be censored.
Walmart is such a if you don't want to be censored, sorry, but they are such a huge market. Now, they have such an influence over like every product. I had heard that if you don't get your thing sold as a product, if you don't get it sold in Walmart, you're almost done. Like maybe some huge company can decide not to, but just extrapolating that into printer, you know.
this Allegiance Arts is going to be in 3,000 Walmart stores, which is about half of all Walmart stores. And they're going to have their own rack, and it's going to be every 4 weeks a new issue with back issues and stuff.
Wow.
It started as a Kickstarter campaign for a couple of them, and then they got a distribution deal. And if I remember too, when reading, there's a lot of like backers that are pissed now because Walmart's going to get their product before the Kickstarters are mailed out.
Oh,
So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the idea of it everywhere, but it is kind of weird. This is not unlike JD. You and I were talking yesterday about how like DC is now going to just do Tuesday comics for those two other distributors.
Yeah.
Henceforth, if you could still order through Diamond, but if you do, then your Wednesdays. The only positive about ordering from this other distributor is Tuesday, and they're saying that they're doing it to lockstep comic book releasing with all other print publications that they have in other markets or in other channels, right? Because like new books come out on Tuesdays, so do DVDs.
Yeah, that is true.
Wednesdays. But historically, they've just been doing it the following week. So like comic book shops will get issues on Tuesday, the following Wednesday, whatever collections comic shops got last week will get it. So in that sense, it's kind of an exclusivity for the shop, but it's like a really limited exclusivity.
Right.
So I don't know. There's pluses and minuses to having like one specific shop experience for your product for a small period of time. I just never imagined the right one to be a large chain big box store.
Yeah. And also
that's where people go to read.
That just messes up a whole lot of stuff. Like, so I can release my DC comics on Tuesdays, but everything else has to wait till Wednesday. So I've got 2 new comic book days.
Well, I don't think they're going to send you early.
With that,
like, if it's Diamond, they're not going to send you early. Like you'll get them on Monday nights and Tuesdays.
That's what I'm saying. If I continue to order DC comics from UCS or USC, whatever distribution, then I can put those books out on Tuesdays, but the rest of my store has to wait till Wednesday.
Yeah. And you'll have 2 like disparate shipments. Like you get the UCS stuff on Sundays. Yeah. Or
and
like
the fun part about this new distributor is I signed up to use my credit card because for Diamond, I use COD. So I go to the post office down the street, I get a money order, and then when the delivery guy brings me the delivery, I hand him a money order for that delivery. And so I wanted to sign up through the new distributor with that, but it's a $15 charge to hand them a money order. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'll just sign up with my credit card, which seemed fine. And they still, the guy came to my door yesterday. What was it, Saturday, to give me the books. And he was like, oh, there's a money order? And I said, no, I use a credit card. So I had to re-meet my delivery guy hours later with a money order because they didn't tell me that I had to use a money order so they could charge me $15. For some reason, they never said that my credit card wasn't an option. And so it's very frustrating.
It just seems a little slapdash.
Yeah. Tim Hershey says so many challenges. Tim Hershey, Tim from last week, is also a retailer. He lives in Lansdale. He's got his own shop called Comic Zen. And so we have both been talking behind the scenes about all of this kerfuffle.
Yeah.
So, very frustrating.
Yeah.
Thank you for the email, Chris St. Saucy. Good night. Let's talk about the books. What do you guys want to start with? Let's start with Bitch Planet.
All right.
See, I asked you a question and then I answered it myself.
I thought it was you were telling us what we wanted to start with.
Oh, what do you guys want to start with? Well, I'll tell you. It's Bitch Planet #1 by Kelly Sue DeConnick, Valentine DeLandro, and Robert Wilson IV. Diamond has this to say. Eisner Award-nominated writer Kelly Sue DeConnick of Pretty Deadly and Captain Marvel and Valentine DeLandro from X Factor present the premiere volume of Bitch Planet. Their critically acclaimed and deliciously vicious sci-fi satire. Think Margaret Atwood meets Inglourious Bastards. So I read this quite a while ago. I run a book club at my comic shop every month. And a couple years ago, we decided to do Bitch Planet Volume 1, and we read it then. I enjoyed it. So we decided to do it again today. I re-enjoyed it. What did you guys think?
I enjoyed it for the first time through today. I didn't have the opportunity to re-enjoy it because I hadn't read it before. Yeah, I liked it. It was cool.
What, no?
Okay, so I had like a lot of emotions reading this book. Like I knew nothing about it other than Kelly Sue DeConnick and the title, because you hear people either praising or bitching about the title, but no one pitches it to you. No one tells you what it's about. Yeah. So it wasn't until like issue 2 that I realized, oh, this is a mishmash of Rollerball, Caged Heat, Inglorious Bastards, dystopian sci-fi, and Margaret Atwood. This is literally everything in a bucket, just shaked.
Yeah.
Oh, and black exploitation movies from the 70s, all of it. Mm-hmm. The first issue was hard because it was hard for me. Like, it was very jarring. It was very disturbing.
Oh, in that sense.
I did not feel nice at all, like, reading it, because it's a satire, but it's so harsh of a satire and not at all really fake in the way that it's a satire. It's just taking literal things and then extrapolating them as opposed to being playful. Like, it's awful. So it took me like 3 issues to start enjoying it for what it is, as opposed to just cringing at what it is.
Right.
So if I was reading this in issues, I don't know if I can say that I'd be strong enough to just like get it every month, because it was hard.
So it's not that you weren't enjoying it; it's that you couldn't find the rhythm of it, or like.
It was like I was being a pussy. I was being a bitch. I was being a bitch about it. And, hang on. In a deliberately pejorative sense, I was being a bitch about it. Okay. Because it was very it was so very on the nose that it was very uncomfortable. It's like watching a surgery. Like, it was very harsh. I didn't love watching these women get brutally destroyed, and then just like the boots further on their necks, just because of the society, the patriarchal society that's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. It wasn't enjoyable to read. And I like, even in a militant way, it just wasn't enjoyable to read, but there was nothing wrong with it. So I just kind of kept sticking with it. It was harsh.
I think the harshest part for me was the twist. There's this where a frantic husband goes in to talk to the people behind Bitch Planet, and not the warden, but whatever you want to call him. And he's like, my wife is innocent. She shouldn't be there. That's not the way it's supposed to go, and blah blah blah. And he's like, no, it's fine. She's supposed to be there. And he's like battling this guy. He's talking to him, trying to get him to release his wife. And then they keep cutting back and forth to his wife. And you find out towards the end that he's fighting for his new wife, not his ex-wife who had the same name, because she was non-compliant, but his new sexier, hotter, more compliant wife was accidentally sent because she happened to have the name of his ex-wife. And then they were just like, oh, we're going to fix this and just murder the original wife. That way this will never happen again.
Yeah, it was a clerical error that they took care of.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Office Space. We fixed the error.
It was because it was so effective, it was hard for me to read the first 2 issues.
Yeah.
And that's my problem, because I was having I jumped straight from Hawkeye and I was reading Justice League, and then all of a sudden I jumped right into Bitch Planet, and it's a really in your face read, but that's a good thing. Like, by issue 3, I was straight up in it and breezed through. I loved the standalone issue about Penny Roll.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
I don't know that it's really a problem to be like really upset by being reminded of horrible totalitarian oppression. Yeah.
You put it like that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. That's not a knock on the book. That's a knock.
It's not a knock on you.
No, it's literally a knock on me. I had trouble finding footing in the first 2 issues.
Yeah.
So effective.
That's what I'm saying. Is that like, that's not a knock on you, no, like that you are bothered by.
It's understandable.
Yeah. Like, this particular one didn't hit me in this way because I think I was more, like drawn in by the main character and they're gonna like fight against it or whatever. But it still did. Like, I was still like, Oh, I'm getting angry. Getting angry at
you know what?
guys in charge.
It's interesting you said angry too, because I was getting really angry and I was getting angry because I'm presupposing while reading this that nothing gets fixed and it's still going to be fucking horrible for them. And I was getting pissed reading it.
It's possible.
All the way up until the 5th issue when something horrible happens. And I'm just mad. I'm just mad at the book. I'm mad at the story that the book is telling, even though the book is telling the story so incredibly well.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's a lot of emotions.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Margaret Atwood, like Handmaid's Tale, I was, this show.
Spoilers.
I've not read the book. Oh, no, I won't tell you anything about it. I was just like, I didn't watch that much of it. I thought it was really good and really well done, but also, intentionally and successfully tough to watch,
Yeah, I love that show. Every season gets better and better, and her acting just blows us away. Me and my wife, it blows us away almost every episode. We're just like, holy shit, she's good. What's her name?
Elizabeth Moss.
Thank you. Yeah, she's wonderful, wonderful actress. And it is a very, very difficult time, sitting and watching it. But we actually call it the depression session. Like, oh, we're gonna enjoy the depression session tonight.
This is my favorite show about depression.
Could be.
Yeah.
Tim Hershey says, so well done as a satire because it can totally be fiction, but it all lays over every now. But it can be really hard.
Very now.
Oh, it lays over very now?
Oh, I was thinking he meant like every now. Like
now.
Present.
Every time it's now, that's the now.
Laying over it.
Yeah. It's laying over now.
Your grammatical missteps will not be ignored here. Just so you know. Anybody's and
mocked. But it can be really hard to keep reading when you feel that uncomfortable. But I also owed it to the characters to see what happens. That's true. You do owe it to the fictional characters, Noel.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm gonna keep reading. I actually this was great. I asked you yesterday. There's only 3 volumes out right now. I want this because I love Valentine Landro's art. I remember reading him during the Peter David noir X Factor stuff. Like I really
Is that the stuff you were looking for yesterday?
That's the stuff that I am looking to unload.
Oh, that was some good stuff.
Yeah, because I've got like 6 random trades of it, and there's 20 something trades, and not all of them are available. So it's like, look, I'm just gonna let go. I'll read it again someday.
Tim says it could all be real while also being fiction. Shut the hell up, you bitches.
Oh, and
can we do it every time
towards us?
Every time bitch is mentioned, let's just all take a drink.
Okay. Man, I'm getting messed up on this coffee. It's just coffee.
Yeah, it's just coffee outside.
So stronger.
But yeah, I love this book. I'm kind of frustrated in its release schedule and also some of its format. I think the first 2 volumes, if I remember correctly, are the story of Bitch Planet, and I want to say the 3rd one, called Double Feature, is just a bunch of one-shots about characters. I think I haven't gotten to it yet, but that seems like I've heard very frustrating things about it. And then this was years ago, and so I was just Googling to see, is there another volume coming? Are they going to be restarting it up soon? And Kelly Sue DeConnick had said, I think back in 2018, that they have a couple in the can, but they're going to wait until they have a lot in the can. So it looks like they're working on more issues of Bitch Planet, but I would like to see that sooner than later.
Yeah.
I would want to wait until there's a backlog or it's done to finish this so I could power through it, as opposed to have it pieced out and very frustrating and hard to.
At the end of this, I was like, I want to, for whatever reason, reading them all at once and in this kind of back issue kind of way makes me feel like it's going to be a complete story of some kind, which I should not perceive it that way. But I was like, all right, that was cool, but there's no resolution at all. And now,
I can extrapolate as how things might go. Like the designer of the planet is about to go there, and his daughter, something just happened to his daughter. So that creates a conflict or a potential ally for the girls. I don't know. Like this could go. I loved it, but I loved it so much that it bothered me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I'll tell you, the only part that it lost me at, and once was the sport, the game, when they're playing the game. I am like, I'm not into sports, and I'm definitely not into stories about games. Like they never really, the only one that sprang to mind, and I was a little older than the demographic, but Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I was like, they're playing a card game, and I'm watching them play this card game. You know what I mean? Although sports movies, it's a whole story. Sometimes, anyway, it bored me, the sports part. I was like,
I kind of skipped, I skipped the rules of the game. I was like, I don't give a shit.
Right.
It's so goddamn easy. Seriously, you guys skipped it? It's not even complicated. It's literally just kill the carrier. They've got the ball. You make it to the end.
Right.
And one person can tackle you at a time.
Oh, no, it's not that I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I saw them start to describe the rules of the sport, and I went, I don't care, and I skipped to the next page.
Oh, I mean, I read all of it, and I didn't really perceive what the rules of the sport were, because I didn't, working out the mechanics of it. I didn't, like, they have that ball and whatever. But I meant
sports, they got that ball and whatever.
Whatever happens.
That's how I feel about it too, Brian.
But I mean the scenes when they're actually right at the end, when they're like playing the game. I was like, whoa, I'm not drawn in by this now. And I'm like, how much more is going to be descriptions of playing this game?
Oh, well, them playing the game, I didn't find very engaging, the description of playing the game, but the fact that what the guards were doing to fuck them was sort of the drama of the scene, and that I was very engaged in.
Oh yeah, it was that was the other thing that it was a mashup of. It was a mashup of Longest Yard. It's about prisoners playing football against the guards.
With Burt Reynolds, right? Or Adam Sandler was there?
Yeah, so the plot of the movie is that a washed up quarterback is in prison, and they're all enamored with him, so they want him to lead an inmate team, and they play the guards, and it gets really nasty. Really, really nasty. It's actually a cool movie.
That sounds good.
Yeah. But it's sports. I don't know if you guys want to touch it. It's sports. They do sport things. And there's a ball.
I love Friday Night Lights.
I never saw that.
The TV show is so good, but not because it's a sport-related thing. It's all the drama surrounding when they're not on the field.
That's the thing about sports movies. They're very rarely just showing you what happens in the sport. It's really about the people.
We should have a podcast called Sport Talk that doesn't talk about sports at all. What it is it's everything tangentially related to sports. So we'll have like episodes about their uniforms and their color schemes.
Yes.
We'll have about the commercials. We'll have a Super Bowl episode just about the commercials.
Tim says the structure reminded me of Tron.
I never saw Tron.
Just the gaming. Like the gaming was just a plot device to get the other things to happen.
Oh, I see.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
But I do know in the first issue, it's mostly about these women who are, labeled as non-compliant, and then they're shipped off to Bitch Planet, which is basically a whole prison planet. And at first, I was like, "Oh, okay." I wasn't entirely sure where the plot of the thing was going, other than, "Oh, this is Orange is the New Black in space." But once they introduced the whole sports element to it, I thought that was an interesting tie-on.
Yeah, have you guys seen Rollerball, the 70s James Caan movie?
I saw it in the early 80s on VHS, maybe.
It's very much like the idea of a televised blood sport in the future that, pretty much all of society. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I see.
It was a good book. I like this a lot.
I like the stuff in the background I found, which maybe added a little lightness to it for me. Like, there was one in the beginning, eat less, poop less, or something like that. There just seems to be
different ads and stuff.
What's that?
The ads and stuff like that of society.
Yeah, that kind of thing that are comic and not directly related to the story that is happening so much as the world at large.
Yeah, there's a lot of like action in the back of panels too. Like 2 or 3 times you'll see a large brawl of pennies happening in the background. Yeah. But then also too, like at the sports athletes at the athlete's funeral, they're having a conversation about like, we want to design a new stadium and blah, blah, blah in the foreground, but in the background of the funeral is happening. And there's a bunch of people taking pictures and like filming everybody because it's a superstar's funeral.
Right.
And like there's a lot of action in the background for a bunch of scenes. It was actually really nice. I liked it a lot.
I also love these old-timey back matter ads.
Those are very cool.
Hey kids, patriarchy.
Yeah, those are awesome.
I like this
too. I did not read the totality of the essays, but I thought that what I did read was cool, and just that they're there. It's cool to throw that comment.
I read a couple of them. They're actually really good. They're in the 5th issue. There's a thing about Eleanor's and Eleanor and the Eleanor terrorists, and there's an ad too in the back, like Eleanor the bitch for president, and like a ripped up sign. So it seems as though in this fictional world, I don't know if other stories get into this or have. It seems as though in this fictional world there was at least one woman who tried to be president, and that seemed to go wrong. But now there's like protesters that incite her name. They're Eleanor. So like they've painted on their bodies, and in the back, one scene in the back, and then in the feed, there's actually a thing about how the Eleanors are being labeled a hate group or a terrorist group. Yeah. I love those little stories in the background, and I almost find them really more interesting than some of the stuff that's happening in the foreground.
I'd really like to hear about how the world got this way. How this world got this way. But all the best. You said that was in one of the back matter things? No,
it was in the background of a scene. And then in the 5th issue, the very back cover is like a ripped poster of a campaign poster for Eleanor for president.
Interesting. Yeah, these are cool.
It's a very layered comic, and I like it.
Yeah.
I would continue
sometimes
reading this.
Get a little out of hand, the background material, or like cutesy little things where it sort of almost detracts from the storytelling of the piece. Yeah. But I think it works lovely. It's great.
So I mean, it's very apt that we're talking about the next book too, or just the next writer, because that's something that he does that sometimes does not work for me. The slightly too cute or a little too winky. Whereas Kelly, I think she has a much defter hand with it. Like she knows not to go like that 5 degrees too far for it to be annoying, as opposed to, I see what you did there. Whereas I don't think Matt Fraction does. Also reading like Jimmy Olsen now, like there's some issues where it's just like, yeah, I get the joke. Just come on. Like he's very proud of himself telling the joke as opposed to the joke landing.
Tim says, I can only say, be patient. I guess the Eleanor thing resurfaces in volume 2.
I don't know. Do they have a hardcover of this? Do they have like a more than just 5 issues and a trade way to read this? Because I think I would prefer that.
I will look it up. You guys keep talking about the book.
Oh, you got to be real specific with Brian. Yeah. Let's talk about sports.
Yeah,
let's think about
in comics.
Let's not talk about sports, but like the X-Men play baseball. That shit is cool. I know JD loves that.
They play softball. They don't want to go too hard.
Hey guys.
Makes sense. Yeah.
What do you think about the artwork for Bitch Planet?
I thought it was good. Thank you for asking. It was.
Son of a bitch. To answer your question, Noel, local comic shop day 2015 Bitch Planet hardcover. Yeah. And again, that's just that's just issues 1 through 5. It's just volume 1, but as a hardcover for local comic shop day. It was like one of those, what would you call them? Special edition
exclusive. Yeah.
There's no big hardcover of all 3 volumes yet.
Yeah, Tim, Nolan is hardcovers. That's my preferred, man.
And then he just said, balls.
Hardcovers. Balls.
It's got
good point, Tim. Balls.
It's got heft.
Oh, heft. I got you.
I got floppies too. Lay off
You
my
got,
back.
you got hard balls, you got floppy balls, all the kind of balls.
I got floppies, and then the floppies convert to the hards. That's all there is to it.
Brian,
Floppy hard.
What were you going to say about the artwork of Bitch Planet?
So I thought it was good. I thought it's like harsh, you know? It's heavy lines and angular, like not angular, but jagged in some ways, right? So it's the kind of artwork that I like a lot. It was real. Every issue was a breeze to get through, I thought, like as far as just like pacing. But if anything, you know, it probably wouldn't be. I thought it really worked well for this story.
Yeah.
And the stuff in the background was very cool too. Like the illustrations in the background or the homages and that kind of thing. Sorry, I was like looking up, and I'm not looking at what I thought I would be looking at. Anyway,
I loved the art. I thought the art was it elevated the not cheesy. Cheesy is not the word. The B movie level aspects of the story.
Yeah, the Grindhouse.
Yeah, the Grindhouse. That's a good way of putting it. Like it's not like Grindhouse or B movie isn't inherently bad. It's the tone or the genre that they're working with, and the art elevated it to more effective satire. I really liked it. I like the art a lot.
Yeah, I love the covers, man. These covers are great.
The pointed, like I don't know what you would call it, dots. It's not pointillism, but the backgrounds, which are often
it's called Zipatone.
What is it? Hippotone?
Zipatone.
Zipatone. Yeah. I actually just happened upon one where there's like 2 exterior shots before you go into this car, and the whole thing is in that. Also, these car designs are pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Up to like the whole thing is overlaid in that, and that is an interesting choice. Oh, and in the previous too. Huh. Cool.
Yeah, the colorist uses a lot of Zipatone. There'll be like a dark background, and then the Zipatone will be a slightly lighter version of that color. Backgrounds aren't very hefty in this book. Whatever needs to be there is there, but otherwise it can be pretty sparse. Yeah, basically you get your establishing shot of the prison.
Yeah.
And every other panel is just blank color.
Look at this on when they're playing the game, the scene that culminates that game. They're in the arena, and I believe that it is the same dot color through the whole thing, but with white as the background above the floor, and the floor being done in a blue, which is very interesting choice to separate the two, to give everything the same feel, but still separate the sky and the ground, kind of thing.
See, to me, that's all basically just a monochrome background. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the coloring stuff choices are just based off. To me, they were based off of really stark ways to draw focus. Like they weren't concerned with realism so much as look at this, and then look at this, and then look at this.
Yeah. It's designed to give the eye direction to follow versus realism.
Yeah,
which to me, like again, that just like. Goes even further in line with the exploitation and satire of it. Just like this very saturated future kind of.
Yeah. It gives it a very dystopian sci-fi feel too. Like it highlights, like similar to Grindhouse. That as well. We kind of skipped over it, but I really like the individual issue about Penny.
That was my favorite issue.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
So basically we have a woman, and she is huge. She's a large woman. And basically, she's in a room and all the monitors are up, and she's being sort of judged by, I guess, is that the parole board, all male parole board, and they're trying to help her, get rehabilitated. And so they've got some sort of future sci-fi tech where they can hook her up to it, and it'll paint a picture of what her idealized version of herself is. No.
Oh no, I was gonna say like as a device too. A bunch of men using your insecurities to make you do what they want you to do or be what they want you to be, like this fictional tech that shows your most desired inner self, when in reality that's usually perpetrated by society telling you what you should be, which they control. So like this weird mind fuck of a conflict, and I love how it's resolved. Yeah,
for sure.
That was awesome.
And I like how spoiler alert, she sees herself as she is, and she's perfectly happy with herself and the way she looks. And their response is, I guess the machine's broken. That's impossible. Tim asked, what's on your glass, Noel? And so Noel is showing us, it's Captain Marvel.
Ah, very cool.
Higher, further, faster or something?
Yeah, Captain Marvel's water and Doctor Who is coffee.
Nice. Any final thoughts on Bitch Planet? I love it. I wasn't entirely sure how I would react rereading it a couple years later, and where I've wound up is I would love to continue reading this book, but because there's only 3 volumes, it makes me not want to yet, since it hasn't wrapped up or is not continuing. I'd like to get on a roll with it. Like I would read the first 3 volumes if it was continuing to come out monthly. But because it's on hold right now, it's just other stuff's going to get on top of that pile before I get to this. But if it ever returns, I'll be happy to revisit this book and continue reading it. I think it's fantastic.
Has anybody ever read it or heard if this book has a finite ending? Or is this like, does she have an explicit story that she wants to tell with an ending? Or is this going to be dragged out for 10 years?
It definitely seemed like it feels like it does, but
yeah.
Who knows, yeah.
Let's move on to Hawkeye Volume 1.
Hawkeye.
And this is My Life as a Weapon by Matt Fraction, David Aja, Javier Polito, and Alan Davis. Fraction, Aja, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Cars, Guns, and Videotape. The breakout star of this summer's blockbuster Avengers film, Clint Barton, a.k.a. the self-made hero Hawkeye, fights for justice and good rooftop barbecues. And with ex-Young Avenger Kate Bishop by his side, he's out to get some downtime from being one of Earth's mightiest heroes. Matt Fraction and David Aja reunite to tell the ongoing tales of the Arrow Avenger. Barton and Bishop mean double the Hawkeye and double the trouble. Plus, relive Kate's first meeting with Clint as she learns wanting something can be miles away from actually earning it. Collecting Hawkeye 2012, 1-5, and Young Avengers presents number 6. What does this say? Tim Hershey says, I have a customer that teaches feminism and literature and such, and she loves it. Hirsch said, oh, darn, I came here for Hawkeye Volume 1.
Hi, Hirsch.
Well, Hirsch, you're just in time, buddy. We're starting to talk about it.
But now let's segue over to Bitch Planet Volume 2.
Yeah. Wait, actually, JD, do you have a Patreon account that people can support you with, that if they like the show or if they just like anything about you and want to pay you for that?
Thank you so much for asking, Brian. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Well, I do.
Okay, cool.
It's patreon.com/Johnny Destructo. Also, if you want to help out my comic shop, there are maybe 50 things on my new e-commerce website. It's taking me a long time to upload things, but you can get gift cards and trade paperbacks at jdsherocomplex.shop, or you can just contact me and order some comics from my shop via instant message or text or call or smoke signal if you're close enough. Why do you ask, Brian? Is this just a plug, an ad plug?
Yeah, well, you see, Yeah, that was what it was. It was really just, it was a deception. I just wanted people to know about that. I already knew about it.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm coming clean. It was all just to get them to learn about it.
Well done. You fooled me. Tim Hershey says, who would support JD? Oh, right. Thanks, Tim. Tim used to work at my shop for free. He used to just, when I first opened my store, he would just come and hang out. Not every day, but most days. And it was wonderful. It was always great to hang out with Tim. Hirsch says also Hirsch's and Hershey's unite. Was Hirsch a friend of yours, Noel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, listen.
So anyway, I had read Hawkeye when it started by Matt Fraction back in, what did I say, 2012? Wow, that was a while ago. And I loved it in issues as it was coming out on a monthly basis. I was just absolutely enamored with it. I thought it was funny, charming. It did a lot of interesting things with the artwork and panels and gags in the background and all that other sort of stuff. Absolutely loved it. And then we decided to read it for this. And Noel had chimed in before I got a chance to read it. And he was like,
sorry.
He was saying some stuff. And I was like, oh, man, I don't know. And so I was prepared to not enjoy it as much as I had originally. But boy, howdy, I got to tell you, a couple pages in and I was already like, oh, I love this book still. I regret I've never finished the original run. I trailed off because like I missed an issue or something. And then I used to be such that if I missed an issue, I couldn't continue the book unless I found that issue. I have grown past that now. So I would like to get, is there an omnibus of this? No? Oh, you son of a bitch.
It's out of print.
Oh, you double son of a, well, you're not enjoying it. So give it to me.
No, I've never finished the run either. And you know what? You're simplifying it. I do enjoy it. I have problems with it though. Problems
so
that I
hate it and you want to burn every copy of it. I see what I
I mean, sometimes the world isn't as black and white as you picture it or as you paint it.
Well, I do have the vision of a dog, so everything is grayscale to me.
The world is always that way.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the people?
I read the first like 2 trades of this. I never finished the run, but and honestly too, because it was always perpetually very late.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So like I was collecting in issues and then it fell off the rails and there was like 6-month waits and all kinds of like this 20 issue. The run is only 20 issues long. It was I think 4 years or 2 or 3 years for 20 issues. But I really, really liked it at the time because there was nothing else like it. David Aja's art was just amazing. It was, I have not hit that developmental life. Yeah. David Aja. I love his stuff so much. Work Immortal Iron Fist was one of my favorite series at the time. I moved on to this and I absolutely adored it at the time and it was great and I'd never read anything like it. It had a too cool for school kind of feel. The way that the character was being characterized, Clint Barton was not like this at the time too, because again, I followed him from Bendis turning him into a premier Avenger and leading a team into this. So like I was in the bag to like this from jump and I did. And the color scheme, the layouts, it was just beautiful and perfect. Now, reading it 5 years later, all the things that have aped this style, and then also reading a lot of Matt Fraction since, he has a tendency to be very roguish and cute with his protagonists, and it doesn't work with me as much as it did 5 years ago. Does that diminish it? No, I just didn't enjoy it as much this time as I did when I read it, 5 years ago.
Let me ask you this, because you keep saying things like roguish and cute and cute laugh and stuff like that. Do you have all right, you just started reading it this time for the show and you've just started it. What's the first thing that hits you where you're just like, geez? Like, was there a particular gag or something that set you down this path of
you know what? I don't have a specific, I can look if you want me to look, but there's a, the non-relationship that they keep forcing down our throats between Kate and Clint, like the joke once, but then it's over and over again. He kind of
jokes a lot.
Yeah. The bro thing is kind of funny at first, but then it's just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
There's a couple of, I think it's more along the lines of how Hawkeye is how Clinton Barton's portrayed as a ne'er-do-well fuck up, but perfect. And it's not, it's kind of like
too.
a little bit like, and that's charming at first, but then when you spend too much time with it, it's like, God damn it, dude. I mean, you're not relatable at all. This is kind of boring now.
I found that too. Sorry, I didn't. I know you were going on.
But I love the art. I love the color scheme. I love the story. But there were things that were just like, I don't know, like when you see somebody trying too hard and you're like, I know where you're coming from, but stop. Just relax. That's how I felt. It's not as.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's not a specific one thing that took me out of it. It's just an overall feel that was like, all right.
Brian.
So I had heard so many positive things about this, and it sounded like something, that. So I don't care about Hawkeye really.
No.
I'm not. I mean, like Green Arrow is cool, kind of like he can be cool, and Hawkeye isn't even as cool as Green Arrow is to me, anyway. And there have been some pretty cool Green Arrow stories, but I don't remember ever reading a Hawkeye story, let alone a cool one. You know what I mean? But I'd heard a lot of good things, and I like the minimalist style on the cover. Yeah. I think weekly, I probably would have liked it more. Reading, I found myself getting a little bored. I think if I was reading it with several A-list comics, and then I get a little diversion with Hawkeye doing, his little Hawkeye things. Yeah. That kind of deal. I think it would be like a fun kind of breath of fresh air kind of feel of it. But I found myself kind of like, what's happening? What's going on? Do something. And then the videotape story was pretty cool. That I don't know. I liked it. It didn't really reach the heights for me. I guess partially that I was expecting, having heard so many people talk about it. It's also possible that now there's much. This is volume 1. A number of things that I heard about aren't in this volume. This is
pizza dog issue.
Yeah, I heard about that was good. I heard the Hawkeye. That's from this run. Right?
Yeah, that doesn't happen till later. I'm flipping forward in the omnibus, and this is super weird. It goes from issue 5, and then 7, and then 6, intentionally.
That is weird. Usually they would number them in the way that they would.
That's my experience, Brian. Yes, numbers.
Here, I will show you. For a reason. Right. It's been a while since I've said this, but you semantical son of a bitch. Hold on.
I don't think that was semantics.
Oh, it was.
No, he's agreeing with you that's
agreeing with you.
All right. So issue 7, and then issue 6.
That's
weird.
Maybe it's a printing error.
Yeah, maybe. That's very strange. Maybe they switched the covers accidentally.
What I was gonna say though, because I was looking ahead to find the issue that sold me on this run when I was reading it in real time, and it is issue 6. When they do, they start playing with the panel layouts a lot more.
Oh,
look
at that!
Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I remember that issue. That's dope.
So this first trade, the 5 and the Alan Davis issue, I don't know if it's enough to kind of capture how charming this book does get.
Yeah.
Or at least I'm hoping.
Everything that everyone has said, and those panels, or you see it one time, but the Hawkeye head when he's naked, I've heard that's that was one of the things that I was like, oh, that's fun. That's funny. So I could totally believe. It's the first 5 issues.
Yeah. And it's only 3 of those 5 issues are playing around. Honestly, that issue number 3, I don't know. I think the most difficult thing to do in a comic book, especially with comic book panels, is a car chase that feels like a car chase.
Mm-hmm.
And that issue is awesome. And it's funny too, like there's a couple of things in the script of like, is that a 1967 Charger or whatever the car is? And I'm like, how much you want to bet that wasn't in the script and that's just the car that Aha wanted to draw? Or the car that Aha draws the best? Like a lot of little things like that. I was just like, this is kind of fun.
I'm selfishly hoping that Noel doesn't like this book, so
I'm never getting rid of this.
That omnibus.
I'm never getting rid of this.
This is genuinely one of my favorite comics. Like I wasn't sure how I was going to react because, like I said, Noel sort of was like poo-pooing it. And I was like, oh man, I usually agree with Noel. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. And then just a couple pages in, I was like, fuck, this book is wonderful. I am in all the way.
This was fun. I like it, and I think it's going to get better for me. It's just this first chunk was like, it just felt too winky.
Oh, I was winking right back. We were winking at each other. I was like, yeah.
But, you know what, though? I think my tastes have kind of changed maybe in the last couple of years. Like I'm averting more towards like 4-color, big blasty stuff because like I hated it at the time. I reread Jeff Johns' first 12 issues of Justice League for the New 52. And for some reason this time I was like, that was fun. It was nice. Like I think I just kind of have a little bit more of appreciation for silly right now. I don't
well, I can see that, yeah. But again, I think this book is very silly.
Not this kind of silly. This kind of silly is look how cool I am versus explosions.
Yeah. That is not self-referential. That Justice League. That's just like we're having fun doing comic. Yeah.
Hirsch says 6 comes before 7, bro. And Anthony Drago says Mike Grell's Green Arrow run beats any Hawkeye story.
Also, year 1 with Jock and Andy Diggle. Yeah.
Which just came out deluxe, right?
I was just about to say I got this week's books already from my distributor, and one of those is the nice hardcover of Green Arrow Year 1, which is my favorite Green Arrow story. I'm not a Green Arrow fan. I don't think
I was nearly as much before that. And also I like the idea that he hung out with Green Lantern.
Yeah, with Green Arrow, I only ever read Year 1 and Kevin Smith's run.
That was good too. Yeah.
No, I'm because of this. I don't care about either Hawkeye or Green Arrow. Only because of this book do I love Hawkeye, and it's only in this book that I love Hawkeye.
He was so cool in New Avengers. He was great in New Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Was he when he was Ronin?
Yeah.
That was cool.
No, I'm talking about his own book.
Oh, right. Not the character.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think he's ever had his own book.
Hawkeye Volume 1 was the first hardcover I ever bought, says Hirsch. I got into comics around 2014. It's hard for me to evaluate it objectively. It's got sentimental value for me. And Tim says, we're pushing the next story back by a month to make room for 2 timely stories about ramifications of a hurricane that hammers the East Coast. Description for number 7.
So it actually did get released in this order.
There we go.
So why not just renumber them?
Yeah,
just that's not how they were printed.
Oh, it was already printed. Yeah.
I think I remember this a couple years ago. They did that a couple times. There was like sometimes when the next issue would come out before the previous issue because of like a art thing, but it was only a stand-in. Which again to me is like, well, why don't you just make that one number 4 and that one number 5?
On the cover, guys.
That's what I mean. Like just change the number.
Yeah, I mean, back when they printed the single issue, I wouldn't recommend changing it now that it's in an omnibus.
Change it.
No.
But I do have the
what? Just give it to me. I want to buy it. Let me have it.
No.
You don't even like it that much. I love this shit.
Stop trying to gaslight me hating it.
You said
I am okay with it. No, I said I was having trouble with it this time. I would like to finish it. I've never finished it.
Not hating every minute of it.
I've never finised it. I'm gonna finish it. And when I finish it, I'm gonna stand outside your window and just be like, "Did you want this?"
And just hold it up like
like Dom Dobler. What was his
name? Lloyd Dobler, but now his name is Dom Dobler. It's Dominic Dobler.
Dom Dobler.
I love it.
So I love the artwork. The inking is very thick. I was very surprised by how thick a lot of the lines are. A lot of it looks like it's almost drawn with a Sharpie, and usually that would drive me nuts with like Scott Collins, who's a longtime Flash artist for DC. Drove me nuts. It looked like he was drawing it with like a fatty Sharpie marker, and I hated it. This, for some reason, I think is just superb. The color schemes are fantastic. The artwork, the layouts are great. The visual gags, I think, all land for me. There's a lot of great, even the action, which could look a little static. For some reason, I'm still loving it.
Yeah, the artist does a lot of really cool things with mini panels in between panels to show the action, because his style is a little static. It's almost like it's almost like even a less detailed Phil Noto, where sometimes it's just poses and you can't really get panel to panel progression. So what he does is he'll create little panels of small actions in between the larger panels to kind of show like the detail of 1 to 2. Also too, for story purposes. So like there's this ongoing joke about which trick arrow is next, and he'll do a small panel of the trick arrow, and he actually designs the arrow types, like how it would aerodynamically work for it to be a boomerang arrow, like, or a bolo arrow.
I'll tell you what.
I was like, very interesting. I was like, really cool.
JD, that thing that you were about to show looks cool.
Yeah. So one of my favorite bits in the issue was basically we've got Hawkeye talking to Hawkeye. We've got Clint Barton talking to Kate Bishop, and he is about to loose an arrow at a target. And so David Aja takes he actually goes and draws Kate Bishop over and over and over again with every letter of what she's saying, which is basically, well, that's cool, is all she says. That's cool. And he takes every mouth position of her saying that and then lays it, in sequential order while he is having thoughts and loosing this arrow at the target. I love the way that he uses that to show you just how quickly he's doing this. She barely has time to say, well, that's cool. And he has accomplished a bullseye.
Yeah, it's the most effective way of showing slow motion in a static image. It's awesome.
Perfection. Comic book, sequential art, perfection.
That was awesome.
There's my experience with this book every time is a net positive. This time, the characters were ticking me off.
I loved them.
But again, it's like a bug of Matt Fraction's work. A lot of times he seems to be so into like the character being cool that they become an elevated version or almost like a hipster version of how cool they actually are, and it's annoying.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is he the guy who did AVX?
He did some of it.
Was he writing?
Which is right over here.
Go grab it.
Okay. AVX trait?
I got the companion also.
Ooh.
Don't sass my shit.
Quick, let's sass his shit while he's gone.
That's me.
Was that you?
For some reason, that is sassing his shit.
You're lucky I can't hear you.
Dancing, but all right.
Okay, I'm back. I hate you.
I know. Who wrote that?
Aaron Bendis, Brubaker, Hickman, Fraction.
What am I thinking of?
It's a jam session.
Reading something and just absolutely hating it because every single one of the Avengers was
pithy,
and they were making all these jokes, like they would stop fighting to tell a joke. And it was driving me nuts. I couldn't do it. And I wanted to say that was Fraction, but I might be wrong.
It might have been Fraction's X-Men.
No,
he took over X-Men around the same time.
It was an Avengers book.
Could it have been Thor? Like if the Avengers were there, you know how they know each other. They come by sometimes.
But no, I'm agreeing with you. I don't think it always works, but for this particular character, Hawkeye, I think it works perfectly. So if we had Captain America if he was writing a Captain America book and it was a lot like this, I would say that it's not appropriate. But again, I don't have a lot of Hawkeye history. So, I never really cared about him when he had the giant loincloth with a giant H on it. That wasn't my dude. I never liked him. So the fact that they modernized his outfit and just gave him the purple arrow on the chest and everything, it really spoke to me, and it still does. I still think it's a wonderful demonstration of the character.
Oh, did you guys see the Cirque du Nuit? I looked up what Nuit meant. I thought that was cool. Darkness or the dark time of the day. So rather than Soleil, and it's Cirque du Nuit. Yeah.
If go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I like this deal that they do a couple of times where they have. You can't tell there's any difference at all because it all looks white, but they do like 2 colored panels, 3 panels total, and in the center it's like a similar image but black and white, basically.
Yeah, not unlike what Bitch Planet did, where it actually it narrows your focus as a feature of the art with coloring or with the coloring. Yeah, so they'll use an overlaying color scheme. Like for this, it's a lot of purple, but it'll be like black and white mixed with the purple to kind of draw your eye from panel to panel for a couple of things. It's really cool.
Yeah. That was
Basically, when we're introduced to Kate Bishop here, everything is in real time, and then there's a freeze frame, like a cinematic freeze frame, where Hawkeye is stopping to talk to you about her and tell you about her, and then it continues on to the next panel is back to full color.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a really interesting technique. You know what though? This is all right. So we don't have trick arrows in the real world, and they do seem like they would kind of be probably impractical unless you're real great at it, right?
Yeah.
But Hawkeye does have trick arrows, and he uses them, and they're useful. So that's the kind of thing where sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, these silly trick arrows." It's like they're not silly in that world, because you can fire an acid arrow at something, or a net arrow would be a pretty good thing to have, So that joke always is like a little with me. I'm like, I like the big stuff, Don't put it down.
It's a lot less silly than a giant boxing glove arrow.
Green Arrow.
True. Yeah, but even those are like, if you had those arrows and they worked, it seems silly to us because they probably didn't work.
The aerodynamic properties of a large boxing glove on an arrow
seems unlikely.
Yeah,
I really thought about it from that angle, but it seems unlikely to work.
either way, like there's all the things that draw me out of this now are the same reasons why I'm really, really enjoying Jimmy Olsen, which Fraction is writing with Javier or with Steve Lieber.
Yeah.
Because that's a character that is not cool, or that you don't necessarily associate with having all the answers or falling into solutions. Like he's a more of a madcap character.
Yeah.
So these kind of like circumstantial novel solutions and wacky things work on that book to a higher extent, whereas on this one it's just like, I get he's cool, I get he's capable, that's fine, tell me a different story.
But see, I find him to be bungling this entire time.
Actually, I felt that way too. I was like, it's weird that the guy who is the star of the series isn't the best one at doing what he does, in the series.
He's like rogue is probably the best way, like a roguish kind of like, hey, I don't care, I wake up and I just don't shave, and like
but it still fucks up.
Yeah, all the time. Like Kate Bishop is way better.
It works out.
Awesome.
It's true,
and she's way better at this than he is. It would seem.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a protagonist or a version of a protagonist that I'm very interested in reading right now, because it's just it's like a kick responsibility down the road kind of a thing, or.
So it's like Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Like I was saying yesterday.
But that character's an asshole.
I don't enjoy spending time with that character, Ash, from Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. He's just not a guy, like he's a misogynist. He's gross. He makes dumb jokes like, hey, I've got a shotgun and this is my boomstick. It just, it doesn't appeal to me anymore. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
So if I were to see that, like if I saw that now and I wasn't 12, I would be annoyed with it. Now, in the show that just came out like 2 years ago, they go out of their way to talk about how fucking sad he is, how how much of a joke he is through the prism of the other characters. It's no longer like, look how great he is.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
I feel that way about this book with Kate Bishop, where Kate Bishop is constantly giving him side eye, like, all right, dude, come on.
Yeah, but then they sully that with the fact that, like, are they, aren't they? Kind of a bullshit, which is like, she's 18. Yeah, it's in there. It's all subtext. The fact that, like, she wants a piece of him and he's like, we're never going to sleep together. Like, that's a plot point.
Wait,
and it feels gross.
You're bothered that she has a crush on
No,
him?
no, I'm bothered that they keep touching on it like it's something that we're supposed to expect as an audience.
Oh, I didn't get that.
It's mentioned like 4 times.
Right. She has a crush on him, and he's constantly saying no.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure if he wanted that or not. Honestly, yeah. In the story, I mean, I don't.
He literally says, "I don't want to sleep with you."
No, he did say that.
But it's like a face value thing. Like afterwards, he's just like, idiot.
Yeah, I don't know. They do seem like they work pretty well together, and
there's a sexual tension I didn't necessarily appreciate. Now, it wasn't a mood killer. It's just
right.
All right.
Okay. Tim Hershey says, I was the guy that loved Clint as he was. I am not the audience for this series. I am okay with that, but I was disappointed when I read it because I had hoped to love it. Tim, why? What about the original Hawkeye? I never glommed on to him as a character. He was just background dressing anytime the Avengers were around. To be fair though, I was not an Avengers fan until Bendis showed up. So I've never been a Silver Age Avengers guy. Those stories never spoke to me. So it's not just Hawkeye.
Well, now he was also Giant Man for a short time. It could be that's the version Tim loves. I
think we all want to forget about that version.
What's that?
We all want to forget about that version. I did like some people prefer the Thunderbolts original Hawkeye.
Oh, I did love the Thunderbolts. The Mark Bagley. Who was that? Busiek?
I think so.
Kurt Busiek and Mark Bagley, right?
Or Fabian Nicieza or something. Like it's
great.
Before the Captain V shit. Like he was a member of Thunderbolts, and that was like his redemption phase after being a thief and a bad guy for a while.
Oh, like set pre-Avengers, or
like 70s.
This makes a lot of sense. Tim says he was Captain America light, and you know my love of Captain America, so it's true.
He did really look up to Captain America too. I think, right? Like in the older when he was first introduced.
Yeah, I did love Clint's reaction after, because this all takes place after Captain America died after Civil War.
Yeah, this is post Avengers.
Yeah, so
post New Avengers.
I liked how Clint reacted to all that stuff.
Oh, he's totally an honorable dude underneath his casual nature.
Yeah,
that's good. I always like that, and we get to see that in this also, where he, pretends to have murdered some people or one guy, or assassinated. I mean, he killed some dude, but he didn't. He didn't do it. He was doing it to protect some other people. And he wouldn't do it, but he also believes that those people did what they thought was right, and so their families don't deserve to get harmed because of that. It was an honorable.
It was a cute twist, but before the twist came, I was going, "Yeah, he's a guy who shoots arrows at people." So it would make sense that he would murder folks, and also. He was originally a villain, wasn't he? When he showed up in the Avengers, he was a villain, and it took a while for him to like make his bona fides on the team, right?
He was, I think Cap brought him in when all of the other Avengers quit, and then they were kind of like, "Hey, you're in," and he was fully an Avenger, but like rough edges. But even in this, the swordsman that trained him was a villain that they faced.
Yeah. So like it wasn't a surprise to me, like, oh, he killed a foreign leader. Makes sense. I'm almost positive there are stories out there where, if not main universe, ultimate universe Hawkeye definitely killed people. Like it just seems like the kind of thing that Hawkeye might do. You're right. Yeah. That's like saying, we've got this superhero with a gun, never murdered anybody.
Yeah. The rubber bullets phase of the Punisher.
Yeah. During Avengers Disassembled, Tim Hershey says, when he got hurt and chose to sacrifice himself, I felt that. Look at his face when he says, "Not like this."
On a recent episode of Gutter Talk, when we were talking about like deaths that really affected us, that was my choice.
Yep.
That one got me.
Right? That he exploded and like the plane exploded.
Yeah, well, he took it like it was a. I mean, later on, it's revealed that it was all a fabrication or like a reality bend, but it was a Kree or a Shi'ar ship that was about to attack Earth. He got hit fatally, so he took one of the, vehicles and rammed it into the big one and took out the giant like mothership. So like he like the whole not like this was, I'm not gonna die here in the street. I'm gonna go on a blaze of glory and help all my friends, which was. Yeah, that's my Clint Barton, not necessarily this one.
Hey, Noel, how much is that omnibus that you bought?
The cover price is $99.99.
No kidding. I'm just looking online to see if I can buy it somewhere.
It's out of print. How bad is it going for? Because it's out of print.
$83, $99 at Barnes and Noble, $75 on eBay.
At Barnes and Noble, that you can't click go, right? It's like not available to ship, temporarily out of stock.
Compare prices from 5 other. I mean, we can do this after we're streaming, but
you're pretty open to see how much. Somebody might snap that up.
I'm sure you could buy this. I'm sure you could get this like. I'm sure you could totally get this like aftermarket somewhere. It's not like super hard to find. It's not like a giant whale.
Yeah, I'm just so enamored with this book. I totally forgot how much I loved it, and I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I was. But like, I was cackling at some parts. I was on the couch having my coffee, and I was just having a good old time. This feels like a lot of fun, like just fun comics to me.
I'm very much looking forward to finishing it. I've always wanted to finish it, and my opinion might evolve. It's this first 5 issues just struck the wrong chord with me, especially with the dynamics between the characters.
Sometimes it takes a while, as with like TV shows and first seasons, it takes a while to, get on board,
Yeah. And also probably with similar to TV shows that I had said, if this came out once a week, maybe it would be a different sort of experience and you're seeing other things. But if somebody says like, hey, this TV show, watch this on Netflix, you have to get through the first 6 episodes before you're going to like it. It's like if you were maybe
for me that's workable. I've had people be like, listen, season 4 is where it really gets good. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Shut up.
Yeah. But if you were watching it in smaller like it's like there's only 1 episode available. Well, I'll check it out after this other thing while I'm eating something or whatever.
So like if again, reading this in issues, the first 2 or 3 were just like beautiful, and it was because of the art and like the way that he was telling a story was totally different. It's almost like you didn't really care how Fraction was how Hawkeye was reacting to things or the characterization of him. It almost was secondary. Mm-hmm. Now that this style has been mocked by like curbed by so many other artists and panel layout, that novel feature of feeling fresh is not the same, so I pay more attention to the stuff in the story that was like wasn't appealing, and it wasn't like it was offensive. It's just
well, you had said, which I thought was interesting. You want right now you want a more responsible protagonist, like
no, not necessarily responsible. Just if he's very cavalier, which is fine and it's charming, but it's like he knows he's charming, so he doesn't care, and that's not necessarily a trait that I care to read right now.
I got you. Yeah.
There's also some neat things in here that I like. Like basically, Hawkeye is bound and to a chair, and he gets knocked over. He gets punched in the face, and then he hits the back of his head. And then the goon who has done this to him is like standing above him. It's so hard to find. I'm so bad at this. Where'd it go? Oh, I changed the page by accident. That's why.
Oh, also, yeah, she manhandles his junk. That's Kate.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. So there's this panel where the guy's looming over him, and the dialogue that he is saying to Clint is roar of blood in head transmutes to smudgy backwards talking in a cup or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that's fantastic. I think that's a lot of fun.
The words you can't understand, be they that or a foreign language bits, I liked. I thought those were pretty funny, where it's like French.
But maybe a little bit of Spanish. No, that's French. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like that stuff because it's just playing with the medium a little bit in ways that you don't get in other, you don't get that in television or anything. We all know how it feels to Well, we all know how it feels to be trussed up to a chair, punched in the face by a goon so hard that you hit the back of your head. And then when he's talking to you and monologuing, you can't really focus on it because your head's ringing. Yeah. And so, that's a very common thing that we can all relate to. And I think that he does a good job of like showing us a different way of representing that.
It really put that on the page in a way I never thought possible. Experience.
There's something that I recently read that did something like that, but it was very funny. Also, it was I started reading the Annihilation Conquest omnibus, and it was the first 12. Like the first chunk of it is the Abnett and Lanning Nova run with Rich Rider.
Yeah.
So which was awesome. Yeah. But when his translator is a little off, the dialogue it's words. And then in brackets, exalted tone for this emotion, and then complete the dialogue. And it stutters the translator, and it's really, really funny, like reading through it, because it becomes like a novel because they're trying to explain things they don't have words for in the panels.
That's cool.
It's really, really funny.
Tim says, by comparison, Clint was the no-kill guy. After a time travel story in West Coast Avengers, Mockingbird let the original Ghost Rider fall to his death.
Original Ghost Rider fell to his death?
But it was a time travel story, so I guess it doesn't.
Oh, the original, not the original Ghost Rider in our. Oh, also it is the guy, the white-suited guy, not the. That's who he's talking about. The Ghost Rider that was pre-Marvel Comics, I think.
Oh, that original Ghost Rider. I forgot. I never really read anything about him.
No, me either. I've read like about him, about his existence.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
There was a Ghost Rider. He was like a Western character, and he dressed in all white with like a white cape and a mask and everything.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Javier Polito. Yeah.
I love Javier Polito. The way he draws clothes and fabrics and folds. His layouts are fantastic. The only thing is, there are so many times where he gives the characters wall-eyed pupils.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, where like they just seem a little off.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time, like everyone's face is very wide when they're dead set on the camera.
That scene also is one. Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm gonna put the panel right under her nose.
Yeah.
Close up. Yeah.
That scene is also one that works for the audience in a comic medium, like a drawn medium. Mm-hmm. But can you imagine if a completely different person dressed like Madame Mask, wearing that mask, like interacted with her henchmen? You're like, well, you both have black hair, and in a comic, that's all it takes.
Yep. Well, I also wonder if maybe the mask has a voice modulator.
Oh, maybe. Well, Kate's could, or unless she took.
I mean.
It doesn't bother me. I'm just poking fun at a medium we all love.
Yeah.
I'm
looking for another bit where when he gets tied up to the chair, and I think the goons go to throw him in the hotel room, and they throw him on the bed, and he's still trussed up on a sideways chair, and so he's like rasm frasm threatening him, and then just immediately mid-sentence falls asleep.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We never talked about the first issue in this trade, which is a one-shot from like a year or two before, when he hands off the mantle of Hawkeye to Kate Bishop. How did you guys like that issue?
An issue of Young Avengers, drawn by Alan Davis. And even though I believe the character Kate Bishop is an 18-year-old girl, she is drawn like a 30-year-old woman in the 70s.
Yeah, Isaiah Bradley. Eli. Isaiah is his grandfather, who's supposed to be like 16 to 18 years old. Looks like a 52-year-old man.
It's true.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
I like that series a lot. The Young Avengers series.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But I remember this. This was post Civil War. Had the like Secret Avengers kind of style, and she still took the name. But I like this. So
look at that guy.
Oh, it's
not an 18-year-old kid.
Oh God.
That's the principal from Boston Public, that old TV show.
Oh, I like that show.
I used to love it. That's him.
Chi McBride.
I believe his name was Chi McBride, right?
Yep. So The relationship between Clint and Kate in this first Young Avengers Presents, and it's the same writer, it's Matt Fraction. The relationship between them is very she's like from 1978.
It's weird.
Club 54 or whatever.
Is very like mentor mentee. Is they're not sure where each other stand, and he wants to help her. It's almost it's very altruistic, or at least it feels as so. But then the very next issue, that's all out the window for a moonlighting will they won't they kind of feel, which was jarring to me. I didn't necessarily like it.
See, when I'm reading it, this issue was in the back of the book.
Yeah,
and it's the first issue in this.
No, this is like the follow-up. This is the back. To me, this was the back matter of the book.
Yeah, that makes it a little weird.
Chronologically, it happens first, so they put it.
Sense.
Yeah.
To me, it seemed, you know how oftentimes in trades they'll do like, here's the modern story, and then here's something that, here's a Silver Age story where this character first, like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But if you read it in the reverse order and it just read...
I read it, not to be Brian Lieb about it, but I read it in the correct order.
Yes, the reverse from the one that JD and I read it in.
The correct order.
I don't disagree. And certainly the order of release. Because you know how comic characters are, like Nightwing ages and Bruce Wayne doesn't. And in the Hawkeye story, it seems like she's a woman in her early 20s, maybe like a fully adult person that took over as Hawkeye when he was gone. And I had totally forgotten about the Young Avengers. That was like 10, 15 years ago that it came out.
She's barely legal.
But legal. I don't know how things work in the Marvel Universe. I don't know what their deals are. But comic book time, definitely people age at differing rates. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah. Hawkeye should be 84.
Right. All throughout this story, I definitely was reading her like, she's a young, competent woman, younger than he is. A little like, oh, that's a big age difference, and they would think about it, but not like, oh, that is.
Yeah, it's not like it's illegal.
Right.
Doesn't make it appealing, though.
Sure.
All right. Sure. Right. Sure. Yeah. And I did find reading this, it was like, where are they? How does he feel about her? Is it like a mentor-mentee and they, the relationship shouldn't go into any kind of romantic stuff? Or is it like, oh, they're so perfect for each other, and he clearly thinks she's so great, No,
I at no point did I think he was interested in her. I always saw it as like a mentor. Like, I think he thinks she's amazing.
Right.
I think he even says like she's amazing or whatever, but at no point did I think, oh, I wonder if they're ever going to get together. It never really.
Well, I mean, he definitely wants to, is what it seemed like. And it might even be that he was like oh, wow, if things were different, like, wow, what an amazing woman. But
yeah, if I was 10 years younger.
Right, exactly. Like one of those deals. Yeah.
Yeah, that may be the thrust of the characters, but the tone of the book doesn't necessarily match with that.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't think of it as a big part of the book at all, to be honest with you. Their relationship clearly is, but I just didn't give much thought to whether or not there was a romantic kind of thing going on or what their deal was.
It's not like blasted everywhere. It's just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. I had a similar conversation. It's just how you read the text, right? Or how you interpret the text. I was having a conversation online yesterday with someone who was talking about Batman White Knight and how that's not the Joker. He was disappointed because it's not the Joker that he's used to. And I don't think this is spoilers for White Knight, but in case you don't want to hear a word about White Knight,
great book.
Plug your ears for a second. But he was talking about how the Joker in that book isn't a murderer. Because he says he's not a murderer. Whereas I read that and I go, the Joker is making a public announcement to Gotham and to the world that he's reformed. And the reason you should buy this is because of all the things that led him to become the Joker are not his fault. And, when he started out as a criminal, he wasn't a murderer. And so he's basically lying to the public to convince them, look, it's okay to trust me. I was never a murderer. And the police even say, I think, what's his nuts? Commissioner Gordon even says, we never had evidence. We never had enough evidence. So again, that's to me saying we know he's a murderer, but because he's like an evil genius, we never have actual proof that we can tie the murders to him because he's so good at what he does. So the person I was talking to online was like, well, he's not a murderer. He says he's not a murderer, and the police commissioner says he's not a murderer. And I was like, yeah, but I think you're reading the words that they're saying, yes, but we are interpreting them differently.
Yeah, also too, like that was Jack telling, like Jack Napier, who's cured, talking about the Joker as though it was a different person. He was talking about how he's not a murderer, no matter what the Joker may have or may not have done, because he is no longer that person.
You're seeing it a third way.
Yeah, well, I think it was all text, not even subtext. Like that. I
just reread it yesterday, and it doesn't really say any of that. I had put my own interpretation as like him saying, I was not a murderer until I got sent to Arkham, and the police abuse and being sent to Arkham and being put there for so long created the monster, whereas before I was just like a whimsical criminal.
Yeah,
and
proto Jack, right?
Created this.
Like the Jack / Joker before, and then it was exacerbated into just Joker and no more Jack.
Yeah.
After like that turning point.
But yeah, they kept trying to convince me. Well, no, it says he's not a murderer. And I'm like, no, I know that. And then the one guy he did this one, which always gets me, which is, dude, it's a comic book. It's not that deep. And I was like, oh, here we go. We're in a comic book collecting group, but you're going to say it's not as deep as I'm making it because it's just a comic book. Like, all right.
Like the medium matters at all.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Yeah.
It's a ridiculous short-sightedness.
Yeah, it's just interesting that, 3 people can read the same text and get a little something different out of it. That's all.
I think almost both of our interpretations are, I mean, for the most part, correct, taking into the context the entire story and how he progresses from point A to Z.
Yeah.
Whereas that other person just literally taking as, well, you said he didn't do it.
Yeah. And to me, that whole bit, it's hard for me to not equate it with like the White House right now and then Trump. They're like, oh, I said that. Did I say the thing? I didn't say that. Yeah. You have it on tape? Nope, never happened.
I like the idea.
When you said that, when you were like, oh, I'm not a murderer, where you say, that was immediately what I thought of.
Yeah, I like the idea.
See, that's why I'm not a murderer. And now I'm not a murderer at all. Nothing even close to being a murderer is what I was, because metaphorically, I claimed earlier that I wasn't.
I love the idea of I'm reading something, but I will completely forget all the context of the page before when I turn it. So I have no rolling narrative. It's just like, well, he said it on this page. Let me forget about that till the next page and just take everything at face value. Like reading everything at face value as opposed to learning anything in the progression of the whole story. I love that idea.
Tim Hershey says, to go back to the original Ghost Rider, Gunfighter Ghost Rider.
That's the one.
Yeah.
There were a couple of those. There was a Daredevil before Daredevil also. He's been reprinted recently, and they considered just that character had fallen into the public domain or whatever. They considered just doing that character, the boomerang, half blue, half red Daredevil. And then I think Stan Lee was like, nah, let's make, or maybe it was whoever did the art was like, no, I don't want to do it. I want to create a new character. So they just repurposed the name.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What did you think about the Flash that came out, JD? If you guys were...
Oh, we're going to wrap. All right. So, yeah, that's Hawkeye.
Read it.
Wait, I don't know, Brian. I was going to say, I think we all, to a certain extent, recommend it. Do you actually recommend it?
Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you are into the kind of thing that this book is, check it out.
I think you know what? I would even go as far as to say like this is a great, like if you were going to a college level comic book class, like talking about the structure of and the ability of comic books, this would be taught. This is great. This is just straight up great. This reread, it didn't strike me the same way, and I want to finish it to see if that was just a moment in time or now for me, period.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be more fun to, honestly, if I was teaching a comic book class, it wouldn't be about a guy with no powers.
Yeah.
It would be. I'm
talking about the art of storytelling in the comic book form.
But I fully believe that the characters you choose to tell a story about are part of that. And I will definitely, I'm like, yeah, I like this story because this character has cool powers or whatever.
Not a narrative class.
Quick, I want to correct myself earlier. I was saying that Fraction was doing the thing I didn't like about the Avengers, and that was Rick Remender's Axis.
Remender.
Where it was just Remender, where like he was being every character was being way too cute, and they were in the middle of a giant fight, and like every character told a similar joke. And like,
I haven't read that since it came out, and I don't remember any of it. So I'm gonna reread it this year. I've got this weird thing now where I'm going back and reading all the events from the last like 5 or 10 years.
Yeah,
because I genuinely don't remember them. So like on the list is Age of Ultron, which I don't remember. AVX, which I got like a trade.
The future Ultron story that just has the same name as the
Yeah.
Original Sin. Axis.
Yeah, that was not great either.
Bad period of crossover.
I don't have negative associations, and I want to reread them, so I'm gonna reread them.
Sweet, yeah.
And I'll let you guys know how much I hate them.
Okay.
But I'm trying to do it in order though. So last night I started reading Wolverine Goes to Hell, like the second volume of Jason Aaron's Wolverine run, which leads into Schism, which leads into AVX. So I'm trying to do it in order.
Right. Wow, it's impressive.
It's not. It's bad.
This is what made me laugh about Brian's recommendation, quote unquote, recommendation of Hawkeye. Tim says, if you like Hawkeye by Fraction and Aja, read this book.
That's funny.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It does sound like that's what I'm saying. But what I really mean is like, if this is the kind of story that you're into, then you'll like this story. Like this is a good example of that.
This is a good version of that type of story. I get it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the Flash came out as a digital-only release from Gail Simone and Clayton Henry, I think.
Yes, Gail Simone and Henry and
Henry Clayton.
Henry Clayton. Well, his last name seems to be Henry.
Clayton Henry.
Clayton Henry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is a lot of fun. So basically, it's digital. What's that?
The Zipatone on the front.
The Zipatone.
There you go.
But I'm a big fan of Clayton Henry. I really like his artwork. I remember him from, I think, Archer and Armstrong, maybe for Valiant Comics many years ago. That's where I first started to pay attention to him. And he is a great artist for the Flash. I think this book looks wonderful. And the colorist, there's something about the particular red and the yellow of the Flash that always makes me happy.
Yeah.
I just always love panels like this.
Yeah, it's really good.
There's something about the color scheme that really speaks to me. And this is a very kind of Silver Agey Flash stories, in my estimation. There's a lot of like puns, shark-related puns. And then King Shark, I really like for some reason in my head. He kind of talks like this because he keeps going, I'm a shark. What are you doing? I'm a shark. Like 9 times he says, I'm a shark. So after a while, I just started to give him that voice in my head. Like, nyuk, 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 nyuk. I'm a shark. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. It was like just a cool one and done sort of Flash story, like a nice little The Flash as the Flash kind of story. And I thought it was a bit odd that the turn at the end where it's like he broke into his ship and he's tearing it up and they're like, oh, also these people are terrible. But
well, he had a reason, right? So he's like Poison Ivy. When Poison Ivy shows up, she's basically an eco-terrorist, and she's there because people are killing the Earth. Same thing with Namor. I believe his first appearance, or most of his appearances, when he's going against humans, is like, y'all are fucking up the oceans.
Yeah,
I'm gonna use my tiny wings to kick you in the face.
Feels really strong about.
That's basically what King Shark is doing. Is like these cruise ships come along and they're just dumping all their waste in the ocean. This sucks. I'm going to bite the hell out of this ship. So I like when stuff like that happens because it gives King Shark a reason for his actions, not just like, hey, there's a boat. I guess I'll eat people.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't think that was bad. I thought the turn of it really threw me for a loop.
Yeah, no, that's what I liked about it. I was like, oh, cool.
Also, because King Shark isn't usually like that. Like he's just, I don't think he's even from the ocean. I think he's like a human that got turned into that. So I definitely didn't didn't see it coming, and I was like, wait, what? And also when Iris is like, you didn't even ask why he wanted to destroy the ship. It's like, I guess he didn't. He was in the midst of trying to eat these people, but I really thought he was when he kicked King Shark in the face a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I thought he was like, oh, there's nothing down here. What am I going to do? I thought he was about to, do like the whirlwindy thing, but with water. It's like there's plenty of water around, Barry.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that panel, but yeah, basically, it's Barry Allen. When I was growing up, I always had like flashbacks, right? And he would use some knowledge of his environment to defeat his opponent. He would science his way through it or intellectualize his way through it. And this one, I was expecting that too. Like, oh, he's underwater. What's he going to do? Aha! I'll kick him a bunch. Flashback, kicks to the face hurt.
It's true, even if they're delivered slowly.
Yeah. That's the other thing I always think of. Whenever the Flash is underwater, all I'm thinking about is the pressure of the water against his feet or fists and how it slows.
He can run at light speed. It's not going to be that large of a decrease.
Yeah, if he can like move between the molecules of a solid surface, he could probably do pretty good damage in the water.
Right. Oh man, I love those flashbacks because they would do them in the back of the issue too, where it wasn't part of the story at all. It would just be some science-y fact. Those were cool. In fact, my stepdad, he said the first place he ever heard the word laser was in I believe a Flash comic, possibly as part of a Flash fact.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a very random specific fact. I like it.
It's specific.
It's very specific. Like
Brian's own Flash fact.
I don't remember where my parent might have heard a word first, let alone like track it back. Like that's what I mean by like it's a very specific.
Oh, like it's specific for me. Oh well, thank you.
I just in general across the board. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like for that story to be relayed to me by a patriarch or matriarch and then remember it to
at some later time.
I like how that very specific fact was like a legacy passed on in your family.
Well, I'll tell you what, it also deals with comics being a cool, serious thing, and that's probably why it stuck in my head was like, look, there was a lot of science and stuff in these older comics, and comics have moved a little away from that, and they do more like science babble sometimes,
Yeah.
But I think especially in the earlier ones, in like the Silver Age Flash anyway, I think there's obviously a line beyond which, vibrating through stuff probably wouldn't work, but where they tried to base it on real science. I remember Barry's watch. Remember, he was always late. They did a story where even after he got his super speed, he was late all the time, and it turned out because relativity was affecting his wristwatch.
What?
Yeah. So he was like moving through time slower, so his watch was slow. And it was cool, man, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Man. That's fantastic. Oh, but I love this issue. I thought this was fantastic. And I like that it's a nice one and done. You can just read it and you're done. And the next one hopefully will be the same. I think that's how you should be writing comics. I like the little one and dones. You don't have to write for a trade or anything, especially because it's digital.
Right. Yeah. It's a perfect one and done kind of medium. Yeah.
All right, guys. You want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Here, you guys start wrapping it up. I'll be right back.
All right.
Brian, take it.
I'm gonna wrap it up, but let me get my.
What the hell is happening?
Wrap it up, Noel.
Just stand. Oh my God. All right. Yeah. So, thank you for listening. Next week we're going to do the same thing, same time. Just talk about a fun book. What's going on?
JD's back. He's going to wrap it up.
Oh my goodness.
Because normally the Spoiler Alert podcast is we talk about that week's book releases, and we actually have some book releases now. Coming out from DC Comics this week, Lost Carnival, which is I think a YA graphic novel about Dick Grayson. I can tell that because it says a Dick Grayson graphic novel. Also, Brian.
Yeah.
Flash number 753 is coming out.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Well, we'll see. We don't know if it's very good.
No, well, we don't know.
Let's see. They're doing a reprint of, I think, the first appearance of Huntress.
Oh, yeah.
Batman and the Outsiders 12. House of Whispers, number, who cares, 20. Hawkman, number 23. Great jumping on point.
My face is really, I'm okay.
The Hawkman story, I have not been reading Hawkman, but it sounds pretty cool. Oh, Green Lantern came out? Green Lantern 3? Nice.
Green Lantern 3.
Excellent.
I guess I gotta read 2.
Flash and Green Lantern in one week?
Young Justice.
Cool.
Oh, and Green Arrow Year 1, which we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Available
the top of the show, if you will.
Mm.
And then Joker Harley Criminal Sanity number 4.
Mm.
So these will be all out, I guess, Tuesday, not Wednesday, because fuck me, I guess.
I am not interested in any of those.
Oh, really?
But I
Green Lantern?
No.
Right, well,
I
at least
I thought you were digging the season 2 of Green Lantern. No.
I mean, it was one issue that wasn't as aggressively upsetting as the 13 before that I tried. But yeah, sure. I was liking season 2 better.
I thought we were into
So yeah, maybe we will just do another graphic novel. I think we were all talking about either Justice League's The Nail.
Oh, yes.
Or DC versus Marvel,
Right.
the 6-issue miniseries from
The early 90s.
It was 4 issues.
Mid-90s, I guess.
Yeah,
actually. Yeah. And then a lot of stuff in between 3 and 4 with the amalgam age of comics.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I always liked it when it would cycle around and Flash and Green Lantern came out on the same day, the same week. You know what I mean? Also, or if you had like a Superman, Flash, Green Lantern week. Cool. That was a good week.
Oh, forget about it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next Sunday at 11 a.m. where we live stream whatever it is we're going to talk about. Please email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. You can tweet at me at JD's Hero Complex. You can help out the show by going to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. And you can check out the Cannibal Horror Cast, Gutter Talk, bunch of shows on the Cult Pop Podcast Network, either on YouTube or iTunes or Spotify, wherever you find good podcasts. You'll also find our podcasts. And what else? Oh, you can go to jdsherocomplex.shop and buy some of the trade paperbacks that I have up there for sale. You can buy gift cards. Help out your local comic shop if you can. And Noel, where can the people find you?
Before I say that, did we ever say what the connection between this week's books were?
Oh, I put that out there on Facebook. If you know what it is, you get a no prize. Tell the people.
Matt Fraction and Kelly Sue DeConnick are married.
Yeah, so Matt Fraction of Hawkeye and Kelly Sue DeConnick of Bitch Planet. So that's why we put these two together.
They are a comic book power couple.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Bartocci, MrBartocci, or the social media pages here every week. I will respond in kind or negatively. If just, whatever happens. We're adults.
Brian.
Yes, JD. I sense that you want to know where I can be found. It's at brianleavedesign.com and in my own apartment where I live and am right now.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk at you later. Bye, Tim. We love you. End broadcast.